What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ back in for another great episode. And today's episode is Start 'em, Sit 'em, Week 3. We are moving on fast, people. It's already Week 3. I'm excited for football every single week. There's always something, great news. Injury reports are never, good things to see or actually, have them affect your team. Some of you are looking at 0-2 right now with the injuries that have happened over the past week. There's 7 ACLs that were torn just last week. So hopefully this week we come out a clean slate, no big stud injuries, no injuries at all. Let's just say that. But anyway, moving on to Week 3, start 'em, sit 'em. Let's get right into the episode. So, Week 3, we are here for start 'em, sit 'em. Again, hopefully no injuries this week. Hopefully I don't have to read an injury report from a stud player that's out for the season. RIP Saquon Barkley season for a lot of people, and CMC's on IR, but he could return in 4 to 6 weeks, they were saying, with a high ankle sprain. Man, damn, it seems like there's just tons of injuries. So we are here right now, Week 3, start 'em, sit 'em. Some of you guys are looking at 0-2 right now, 1-1, maybe 2-0. Good for you. But we need to keep on the same path that we're doing. Try to have the tools and knowledge to bring home the gold, people. So my first start 'em this week is Drew Sample versus the Eagles. Now, Drew Sample stepped up when he was needed, when CJ went down with his injury. I think it was the Achilles that he went out. So he's probably done for the season. So the thing about Drew Sample, he stepped up and showed out. 9 targets from Joe Burrow, and I really feel like he's his security blanket. There was a lot of underthrows or whatever the case may be where he was running the under routes and he was just checking down to Drew Sample. I'm okay with that in PPR formats. He's going to see those targets. He's going to see those catches. So therefore, for him to step up and show up, with 9 targets, I feel like that's a comfortable, place where he should live and breathe to be Joe Burrow's, bailout. So I'm not looking like big stud numbers from him. I'm not looking for like 20 points, but it can happen this week against the Eagles. Now, you saw what, happened to the Eagles with Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee put up a hat trick. I'm happy about it. He put up 3 touchdowns, and I feel like Zach Taylor being a branch from Sean McVay, for those who don't know, Zach Taylor was once the offensive coordinator for the Rams. So obviously, Sean McVay is the brains. He's the offensive coordinator. So there's no way Zach Taylor didn't see that game last week to prep, get his tight end ready to cut up, the Eagles defense. And it's definitely a great matchup where you shouldn't have to question to start and forget for Drew Sample to be in your starting lineup this week. So I definitely like the chances of Drew Sample to, show up and show out. The matchup is great. He's stepping up as the guy, and Joe Burrow is looking very comfortable in the pocket. He's doing things where it's like he shouldn't be doing things this early. And I think he's on a path to actually win the Bengals some games once the defense gets fixed and, they add more pieces. This isn't going to be something that's going to happen overnight for Joe Burrow to bring, big wins to the Bengals. So I definitely think it's something to watch. It's beautiful to see the connection that he's getting with his wide receivers. He's targeting the hell out of AJ Green, and AJ Green just ain't catching him. So imagine if he caught all 11, all 12, all 13 targets or whatever it was that, Joe Burrow throw to him, and Joe Burrow will look amazing right now. But he does look amazing. I do want to keep an eye on his development. But overall, Drew Sample is a start. Clear as day. Now, this next guy, I'm not a huge fan. I got to say, I'm not a huge fan. He was just on my Pump the Brakes last week. For those who don't know, Pump the Brakes is something I'm going to be adding to the start 'em and sit 'em. It's basically guys that are coming off the wire. You're having questions if you should just throw them in your lineup immediately because you're hurting at running back, quarterback, wide receiver, whatever the situation is for you guys. I had Corey Davis on my Pump the Brakes last week, and I'm actually not that mad that, he did okay. He didn't do great. Double-digit numbers is what we want from guys off the wire sitting in your flex position. So A.J. Brown looks like he should be on the path of returning, but I don't think it will matter towards Corey Davis's, development, production, whatever you want to call it, his comeback year. Hopefully, we could trust him. So with that being said, I'm not a huge fan of him. Moving forward, I do want to see one more game. If he blows up this game, he has a good matchup. If he blows up this game, and he gives me confidence that I can start him, weekly. He'll see the end zone, or he'll get at least 9 targets. He'll get, a couple touchdowns here and there. Whatever the case may be, Corey Davis was never on my radar in the offseason to actually target, to actually do any breakdown on, for any hype to believe in. But I feel like in the meantime, he's a guy that you can lean on if you're a Michael Thomas owner or you just lost Cortland Sutton, etc. I feel like he steps in right now in the role where he can help you out. I wouldn't say 100% lean back on him or lean on him for him to be, your guy week in and week out. But most weeks, I think he'll be fine. As long as Tannehill keeps targeting him, as long as the offense is moving the way it is, as long as the offense is not solely running through Derrick Henry, but we know Henry gets slow. But once it starts getting cold out, nobody wants to tackle that giant. So therefore, things can change later in the season. But right now, I feel like Corey Davis is being productive. He can sit in your flex. Week to week, he's going to win you most weeks. Double-digit numbers is what we're looking for out of him. Between 10 to 15 points, I'm happy with that from a guy I just got off the waiver. So I can trust him this week. I can say most weeks he'll help you win. Hopefully, he's not going to be the guy you have to lean on solely to be your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 because you lost all these guys due to injury. So I know a guy, I'm not going to say his name, he lost Michael Thomas. Well, he didn't lose Michael Thomas, but Michael Thomas has been sidelined. He's still dealing with that ankle injury. He lost Cortland Sutton, and now he's leaning on guys like Will Fuller. He's leaning on guys like Corey Davis. He's leaning a lot on the waiver to bring in some guys to, wide receivers because most of his wide receivers are mid-tier. So he tried to put all his money into the running backs, which happens. Michael Thomas he got, but Michael Thomas is sidelined now, so you need a guy that's going to come in and show up and help. So I think Corey Davis could be that guy to come in and help. Now he's facing the Vikings this week. The Vikings defense hasn't been wowing. It hasn't been impressive. So I feel like this should be a great matchup for Corey Davis to actually blow up, put all the doubters to bed, aka me. Have me trust him once again to be a guy I can have him on my roster and not be a bench warmer. But the Vikings are giving up a lot of points on defense right now. They're letting wide receivers just walk all over them. So I feel like he'll end up seeing the end zone, and he'll put up 10 to 15 points this week. Again, great matchup. I feel like he's building that momentum. I feel like, week 1, A.J. Brown was in the game. He was healthy, and then he caught that injury, and he still was very productive even with A.J. Brown there. So week 2, took a little step back in points, but he did see the end zone. So that's something that we like to see, week in and week out. We love guys that score touchdowns. We love guys that get the red zone targets. So Corey Davis against the Vikings, I definitely feel comfortable with him at my flex position. So moving on to the next guy. Now, we are finally here. It's so crazy. We're only like 2 days removed from telling you to go pick up Justin Herbert off the waiver, and now we're here on a start-em sit-em telling you to start Justin Herbert. The matchup is there facing the Panthers. The Panthers gave up 30 points to the Bucs. Back-to-back weeks, they gave up 30 points. They gave it up to the Raiders. So, therefore, Justin Herbert has a time to feast. He looked very good against the Chiefs. A very, impressive game for him to only find out 10 seconds before kickoff that he's going to be the starter. He went in there and showed up and showed out. 311 yards, and I feel like he could have had more touchdowns if guys were, getting more separation or, actually catching the ball, whatever the case may be. But 311 from a rookie quarterback finding out 10 seconds before kickoff, I am very impressed. And I think Justin Herbert has that it talent, and the path for him is looking great. I don't see anything wrong. He has some mental errors, but the kid is young. He's a rookie, so therefore he's going to grow into that role. But going into this week, he is definitely seeing a lot of starting lineups. Again, if you're in the world of the Trubisky's, if you're in the world of like Jimmy G, who's also injured right now, who else? A mid-tier quarterback that's not putting up great numbers. That's only giving you like maybe 20 points on, I guess, a good week. But I feel like Justin Herbert can be that guy. I feel like he could put up 2 to 3 touchdowns this week. I could feel like he can cut down on his decision making on the interceptions and everything like that. He only had 1 interception. He could have had more. He was making some questionable throws, trying to make tight window throws, but you're going to take that chance when you're, the star player right now on the offense. So I feel like he is going to have a good game this week, and that's the sole reason why I told you guys to pick him up, because eventually he was going to be the guy. I mean, we knew Tyrod wasn't going to have the job for long. It wasn't his job to keep. So we know at some point in the season, Justin Herbert was going to step in and be that guy. And here we are, only 2 days removed from him being the hottest thing on the waiver wire to go pick up, to him now being on starting lineup. Now I want to jump into my sit-em. Now, first guy, Todd Gurley, man. I hate to talk bad about my guys. I still got his picture. It's right here. And he just was not impressive last week, people, against Dallas. He had 21 carries for 60 yards, and I think he's becoming that player that I feared, that I really hope that he didn't become, but he's becoming very touchdown dependent for him to be fantasy relevant through the weeks. So he's going to be very matchup, not really matchup worthy if he's going against a top 10 defense. He's not getting that many targets out of the backfield. The Falcons are a very heavy pass offense. They're probably on the road right now to have 3 wide receivers have 1,000 yards. So Todd Gurley is looking mad mid-tier right now. And coming from a former first-round pick, a former Mr. 101, you rushing the ball 21 times and only getting 60 yards out of it, that's not comforting. Even if you are my RB2, that's not comforting. I can get that from a guy at my flex position and have 2 stud, running backs at 1 and 2. So we're hoping that things could turn around with Todd Gurley. I was hoping he could be more involved in the offense of being, somewhat of a pass catcher, but we're not seeing that right now. Him running the ball 21 times back in the day for the Rams, he's having at least close to or more than 100 yards, and we win the game. So there's like this crazy stat where he's like 22-2 or some shit like that. If he ran the ball more than 20 times, the Rams won. So with a stat like that, with that being known, obviously that doesn't play a part in the Falcons because they gave up the big lead against Dallas. I think the Falcons are just known for doing stupid shit like that, of giving up big leads, but whatever, that's hands off. But I really feel like Todd Gurley could be more involved, but we're not getting that much back. We're getting some pullback. There was too many times I seen Ito Smith in the red zone. There's too many times I seen Ito Smith catching balls out of the backfield. Too many times I see Ito Smith on the field at all. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like Todd Gurley is a hard sit this week, especially going against the Bears. Very tough matchup. And I think moving on, we need to just have questions of, do we start Gurley this week or that week? You know what I mean? Next up, your boy, Ronald Jones. I say your boy because he has a lot of hype this offseason, and I was not on that hype train. Ronald Jones was very bland to me this offseason, to be fair. I wasn't really excited about him to be the guy, and I think a lot of people were doing a lot of reaching on him, so I wasn't impressed with week 1 with him being the guy. A lot of people were, but I had a bad taste in my mouth because Fournette was there. See what I'm saying? It's not that I knew Fournette would be there in the future. I can seek these things out. The Bucs were going to go after Fournette. That was literally the last place that I thought he would be going, but it happened. So Fournette is there. Bruce Arians will be an idiot to have a Leonard Fournette sitting on the sideline and have Ronald Jones be the guy over him. Ronald Jones is not a better running back than Leonard Fournette. That's just put it out there. Even with the injuries included, even with the attitude and, the off-field infield, situations he had in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a very toxic place. We see that. It's displayed. They let go so many Pro Bowlers, so therefore that's why that attitude was that way. Why would you play for a team that don't really care about you? Why would you try to go out there and give your all, risking injury and hurting your market of trying to leave, be traded, etc.? So what happened with Fournette, and he blew up last week. So Fournette had 44% of the snap opportunity. Ronald Jones, the guy, only had 35%. So therefore, it's kind of like you need to just pay attention to what Bruce Arians say, but not really believe it because he's a liar. We've been here before. And it's like he says that Ronald Jones is the guy. The numbers don't lie. It just doesn't look like Ronald Jones is the guy. He just got outplayed. Even if you were playing the hot hand, it's obviously that Leonard Fournette can run the ball. He can run the rock. He can catch it. He's the better overall running back than Ronald Jones. So that's why he gets the hard sit this week for me. And I think for the rest of the season, you're going to just see Ronald Jones just fade to black. It's just going to be coming less and less times. We're going to see Ronald Jones on the field because Leonard Fournette exploding for over 100 yards and putting up 33 points last week. You cannot ignore that. You cannot ignore that as a head coach. You cannot sit there and have a Leonard Fournette sitting on the sideline for a guy you're just trying to prove your point or make him feel better, like build confidence. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense for me for Bruce Arians to have Leonard Fournette split carries or even, come in off the bench for Ronald Jones. Leonard Fournette should just be the RB1 there. Maybe, they'll get some. I heard some crazy ass stat that it's been like since 2006 maybe, since the Bucs had like 100-yard rusher a game. I don't know. It was some crazy ass stat like that for me. And I think Leonard Fournette could put up more than that, more than one game of 100 yards. You know what I mean? I could see about 6 or 7 more games with him having over 100 yards. So therefore, just listen. You can hold on to Ronald Jones all you want all year. Go for it. But I'm not going to be the guy to be like putting him in my starting lineup and be like, hopefully he gets, more snap carries and more targets than Leonard Fournette. You can have that hope. You can have that question and have that dream, but do you want that? Do you want that question mark when it comes to Sunday and you're setting up your lineup? Don't you want all start and forgets where you can set your lineup immediately Tuesday, be like, all right, we're good. I don't need to worry about anything. To constantly question, because to constantly question a guy week in and week out, now you have to do digging and research of this matchup, that matchup. I mean, that's part of fantasy football. Yes, that's fun, but I'm more of a guy that I'm confident in my guys. I can trust them to bring home the gold. I can trust them put up big stud points because I have them on my roster because I believe in them, and I have them in the positions and starting in the starting lineup because I know they can perform. Ronald Jones is going to be a constant question, people. And now I just don't like headaches on Sundays. I like smooth sailing. I like Coronas, sitting outside, cooking on the grill, watching some football and chilling and have no stress. The only stress I want is against my opponent, going against my opponent. You know what I mean? Of them putting up big points. Like, for instance, like I lost by 3 points last week, people. Chris Carson put me to bed with that last catch in the freaking end zone. That was unexpected. I wanted Russell Wilson to throw 20 touchdowns. It didn't matter. I wasn't facing him. That last touchdown to Chris Carson is what put me to bed. That's stress, people. That's fun stress. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. It's fantasy football, but I just don't want stress in-house, internally, with my own team as an owner. You know what I mean? I'd rather have that type of stress. But moving on to the next. Now, for the Will Fuller believers, do I really need to go in depth why you should be sitting him against another stud defense, Pittsburgh, this week? Him putting up 0 catches last week, 0 targets last week, 0 points last week, and 0 hope for me to ever roster Will Fuller. Like, it should just be a no-brainer at this point. You stop investing in this guy. I know a lot of people are saying, you're getting him in the later rounds. You draft for ceiling. We don't draft injury-prone people here, people. We don't do that here. Why would you do that? Why would you believe in that? Why would you believe in a guy that hasn't been healthy since he's been in the fucking league? It just hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. Will Fuller cannot stay healthy. He's having hamstring issues. His hamstrings are tissue paper. So why are we still investing in the guy? We know he can play. So when he plays, he put up big points. Wow. He explodes for 1 to 3 games a year. And you want a guy like that? You want that headache? You want to be the reason why you lose because of a Will Fuller putting up 0 points because he's hurt? Do you want to waste that draft pick? You want to waste him getting in the 9th, 10th round or 7th round? One guy was arguing me on Twitter about, like, you really want that guy that's going to give you 3 points or going to give you 3 weeks of exploding games? No. You want a guy that can give you all 13 weeks into the fantasy playoffs. That's what you want. You don't want a guy that's going to explode 1 or 3 times a year. It doesn't make sense for me to roster a guy like that when I can go elsewhere. I can get somebody off the fucking waiver to do that for three games out of the year. That's fine. I can go to the waiver every single week for a guy like that. It doesn't make sense for why people try to hype up and believe in Will Fuller. It's a dub. It's over. Contract year, and he's going to be injured again. He was just injured last game. So, therefore, going into this week against Pittsburgh, do yourself a favor and sit Will Fuller. Stop it. Just stop it. Even if he explodes, I hope he explodes, actually, just to prove my point. He's going to explode. I hope he puts up like 67 points, 60 points. Just explode out of the fucking atmosphere. And then he's hurt next week. That's what's probably going to happen. That's exactly what happens with Will Fuller. And the owners, I don't understand, like, what do you guys see? Are you guys delusional? Like, I just wouldn't want this guy on my team to have that constant headache. I hate headaches. I like a nice, smooth sailing week of just putting guys in my lineup, chilling and watching football, and calling it a goddamn day. I cannot do that with Will Fuller as my probably wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4, as high as guys were, drafting him because, oh my God, no D-Hop. So Will Fuller's the guy now. He's the number 1 guy. Really? Come on now. Stop it. And again, we're watching Watson. He's struggling, man. He's struggling with this wide receiver core. Guys can't stay healthy. Guys can't get separation. Guys are just simply just not doing. So this week against another stud defense with Pittsburgh Steelers, it should be obvious just to sit Will Fuller or any, Houston wide receiver. Just sit him. David Johnson might even get to sit as well, but he's not really mentioned into this episode But again, why do you own Will Fuller? If you own Will Fuller, please explain to me down below. Why do you own him? I need to hear this. But anyway, moving on. Now for the last portion of the episode, pump the brakes. Now, pump the brakes are guys that are really getting off the waiver wire and you're throwing them into your starting lineup immediately. Let's just pump the brakes real quick and let's see what happens. This is more so of not saying not sitting them or starting them. It's more so just chill out, relax, let them sit on your bench real quick. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they do. You shouldn't be in dire need for these guys to jump into your starting lineup. Some of you are. For example, Devontae Freeman's on my pump the brakes. Let's see what happens. Saquon Barkley going out. Maybe you're a Saquon owner and you're asked out right now. Maybe you got lucky and was able to pick up Devontae Freeman, or you already had him. Whatever the case may be. Let's pump the brakes. That O-line looks terrible. If you're telling me Saquon Barkley, the stud that he is, Mr. 101 or 102, could not get the job done, putting up 12 points, and then he was injured. You're telling me a washed-up Devontae Freeman with slightly a better O-line than the Giants and the Falcons couldn't get the job done over there, didn't really exit or, let's say, almost retire from, the league because nobody was picking him up for that expensive contract he was asking for before, but he signed for $3 million to the Giants. Good for you. There's no way you can tell me that Devontae Freeman can get it done when Saquon Barkley couldn't get it done. And the Giants look like they're not going to win a game this year, way that Daniel Jones is playing. He's really hot and cold. It's like fire and ice. Like he's doing good, and then Eli just jumps into his head in decision-making. Throws an interception or he does something retarded. So there's that. I can't really say to sit Devontae Freeman or start Devontae Freeman because we just don't know. This is his first game back into the NFL, we don't know what he was doing in the offseason. They say he's been working out. They say he looks good. Okay, cool. We don't 100% know how he's going to look on the NFL field right now behind a very bad O-line. Maybe a whole offense as a whole is bad, but we just don't know what's going to happen. So I'd rather sit back, relax, watch the show instead of putting him in my starting lineup come Sunday and him put up nothing. He put up a breadstick, put up 3 points or some bullshit like that. And then you might see Deion Lewis get involved more because he's been there longer, obviously. And Devontae Freeman not really into a groove yet. That's why I'm telling you guys to pump the brakes. Next guy, Mike Davis. Mike Davis has always been that pestering guy. I like Mike Davis. I feel like that with CMC out, he can come in and actually be productive. But again, I want to pump the brakes on Mike Davis in my starting lineup just to see how that offense is going to flow now. Obviously, they're not going to stack the boxes anymore, so I think the wide receivers, they're going to have a tougher time. But I feel like Mike Davis can still be productive. He can catch the ball a little bit. I'm only expecting like 4 to 3 targets or whatever the case may be. Hopefully, he catches all of them. But Mike Davis is not CMC. That offense might take a completely, flip over turn of what they're going to be doing moving forward without CMC. Because again, remember a time CMC had his own playbook. So he is the focal point of that offense. He's the number one target on that offense. So I don't know how Mike Davis is going to be that much involved in the offense or if he's going to be running the ball, catching the ball, whatever the case may be. We just don't know yet. So that's why I'm telling you guys to pump the brakes on Mike Davis until we figure out what happens. How are they going to look? How are they going to address the loss of CMC? Are they going to just be pass heavy now? Or are they going to, try to get Mike Davis involved in the backfield of throwing the ball, catching the ball? We just don't know yet. That's why I just want to sit tight, watch what happens, and hopefully he pops off. My honest opinion, I'm only expecting like 10 to 12 points from him. You know what I mean? I don't expect 20 points like at CMC or anything like that. We should already know that. We should already just have in our brain, he's not going to put up Christian McCaffrey numbers. So if you're right now with CMC on IR and you're hurting right now, running back, you really don't have a step up, Mike Davis could help. He could help. Not exactly win you that week. He can't win you, the season with CMC sideline. But again, he can help. He could be a guy that you could somewhat lean on to be your flex position. So that's all I got for you for Pump the Brakes, Start 'em, Sit 'em. Hopefully you guys like this episode. Leave a comment below on what you guys think. Start and Sit 'em's questions below. I'll get to them when I can. I had a few last week I didn't get to. I do apologize. I had a very busy week, but I promise to get to these questions. I should be a little bit free, tomorrow and Saturday, but we'll see what happens. But again, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ. With your boy LQ. Peace.